Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. So we talking about Dynamite. Winter is coming. Winter came, all right. It came and went. December 14th, 2022. No news and notes except for some reason, AEW bought the rights to the old 90s NBA theme. What is the reason for this? Like, I know, Tony Khan got money like a Saudi prince. I get that. But by God, do you have to buy such frivolous things? Why do we have NBA themes on AEW? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it's bumper music too. It's like, they use it while Excalibur runs down the card and stuff. Like, I don't understand this. I don't what is the point of this? I'm just thinking like Isaiah Thomas is going to come out there or something. Like Joe Dumars is about to make his appearance on Dynamite. Muggsy Bogues or Charles Barkley or something like that. I haven't heard that goddamn song in decades. And I was just like, wait a minute. Is this the NBA theme? And sure enough, I looked it up and it's called the Round Ball Rock. Okay. Tony is going to do what Tony do. TK do what TK do, and TK spend that cash. That's what he does. All right, let's move into the show real quickly. Anything that might be like something worth talking about, we'll talk about it either on Thursday or maybe to spice up the video. I'll drop something in there. You'll just have to listen to figure it out. All right. First match, the fourth match of 7, Death Triangle versus the Elite. They did the old, I injure you, you go to the back, then you make the heroic return, only to lose the match anyway. As the Elite lost by submission. What was this? Nick Jackson was hitting the ankle with a hammer. And he's going to be okay to wrestle next week, by the way. So if you have any drama or any thoughts that somebody might get hurt from getting hit with a hammer, because, a hammer is nothing but like a metal object stuck on a piece of wood. That doesn't hurt at all. It's not going to, a couple days, you'll be all right to get back in the ring. I mean, you could have milked that. You could have built some drama saying, oh, what is Nick Jackson going to do? He just got smashed in the ankle with a hammer. Oh, my goodness. But nope, he's going to be back next week. All right. So there that go. Kenny Omega got on the microphone after the match to spice up the best of 7 by offering Death Triangle a advantage by offering them a match in which all weapons are illegal, no disqualification, which I kind of saw this coming. They have already created the situations for match 6 and 7 if needed, which of course they will be needed, which we kind of saw this coming, right? They weren't going to have 7 straight singles matches. They were going to mix it up in some way. And so they're going to go with no disqualification first. I think the last match is going to be a ladder match. I think they said it was. A trios ladder match. It sounds pretty interesting. I'm not even going to lie about that one. At least that's what I think I heard. I wasn't paying that close attention to Excalibur talking very fast. But the match itself, what do you need to know? Outside of it's the Elite. It's Death Triangle. They've done this thing 70 times already. These guys have wrestled each other, not just in this series a bunch, but even before this. And they've done the same fucking thing every time. Flippity-doo-dah, flippity-day. Okay. Moving on, MJF. MJF says that everybody was giving Ricky Starks credit for his star-making performance, but MJF has been a star since day one and said that he made Ricky Starks a star because he's a star maker. Then he talked about pressure because Ricky Starks talked about pressure the previous week and said that there's no pressure on him. He has nobody to let down, but everybody is looking out for Ricky Starks. Everybody wants Ricky Starks to succeed. He's going to disappoint everybody. Ricky Starks came back later to cut a promo saying that he feels prepared in the long, hard road of being in AEW, and that he's been letting people know who he is every time he stepped into the arena since day one. He got a lot on the line, and MJF thinks it's a joke, but he doesn't know what it's like to actually have people like him, to actually have people believe in him, and that he is a reflection of what MJF wants to be. He's the coldest MFer, the most stylish MFer you've ever seen. And basically, he's him. I'm a big fan of Ricky Starks, man. I am a huge fan of Ricky Starks. This was also a very good promo. See, I always envisioned Ricky Starks as being a heel. I think me and so many others kind of saw him as sort of the slick talking heel. I didn't see this, that he would have this kind of passion as a babyface, this kind of fire. And I'm very impressed. Tremendously impressed with Ricky Starks. The main event match was pretty good too. Ricky Starks versus the MJF winner take all. Dynamite Diamond Ring is on the line, as well as the AEW World Championship. It was a simple story. MJF is the favorite. Ricky Starks is the underdog, even though they're about the same size with about the same skill level. Ricky Starks, they played this match as if it was, some really underdog guy against a established main event dude. So MJF would try little things and Ricky Starks would counter them. Then, MJF got frustrated, powdered, went outside the ring, and, of course he had to take it to the next level. So he goes and stands in the crowd and paces a little bit before coming back and getting back in. MJF had a really great submission sequence after he tried to put him in the armbar, which ended up in the rings of Saturn. And then as he was trying to reach, he being Ricky Starks, pronouns, pal, trying to reach the rope with his foot, MJF grabbed his foot too. So it was a really awesome looking move where 3/4 of Ricky Starks' limbs are tied up. Really fun stuff. And the finish comes with Ricky Starks getting kicked in the balls by MJF, followed by a small package. Gotta say, that was kind of anticlimactic. Wasn't a big fan of the finish, but at least it was a finish that didn't kill Ricky Starks. At least it was a finish that didn't shit all over the work that Ricky Starks put in, and didn't disappoint people too much. MJF had to cheat to win. All right, fair. So MJF immediately grabs his title and he tries to go up the ramp. All of a sudden, Danielson appears to confront him. MJF flees, runs away. Danielson, then he held up the hand of Ricky Starks, showing respect to Ricky Starks. And even though he lost in his hometown, which only WWE does that, but his home state of Texas. I don't know if it was his hometown or not. And it might even been what they called it, his adopted hometown. I couldn't remember it for shit. Anyway, okay. So Ricky Starks losing, everybody knew that was going to happen. This was a big match for him. I don't think it was his best match. I don't think it was MJF's best match either. But I think they had a really good TV match. It was solid. I didn't hate anything about it. So it was good, It was a little weird, but I liked it. All right, good. Not much more to that. MJF versus Danielson, kind of called that one, knew that one was coming. It's the right decision. Put MJF in there with somebody who's more experienced, somebody who's more of a box office star. It's very needed. But where does Ricky Starks go from here? Well, he was name dropped by Chris Jericho at one point. So Jericho was talking about the giant swing, how it's barbaric and it should be banned. And says he's going to take his frustrations out on some kind of jobber. And then as they were moving on to Daniel Garcia, Jericho said that Daniel Garcia had no business losing to Wheeler Yuta. And that, because of that, he thinks that Daniel Garcia needs more advice. He needs more seasoning. So Jericho orders that Daniel Garcia shadow Sammy Guevara. As Sammy Guevara is going to have a match with Jon Moxley on Rampage. I thought it was funny at first. Jericho's sonning Daniel Garcia, like, you need to follow this guy around and learn from him. You know how down bad you got to be before you can actually take career advice from Sammy Guevara? The guy who used to run around with a panda on his head. Sammy, I couldn't cut promos, so I wrote all my promos out and showed them on a screen, Guevara. Sammy, human Gumby Guevara, who looks like, Hispanic Woody from Toy Story. That guy. Jesus Christ. The only thing good about Sammy Guevara is his wife. Sometimes that's all it takes to be a wrestler, is to have good taste in women and be the kind of man that a high value woman would be interested in. Sammy Guevara and Juice Robinson. That's all they got going for them. They could be losers, bums, and everything in between, but at least they got hot chicks. So you can't say too much about them. they won the Miz too. You can say whatever you want about the Miz, but god damn it, Maurice is hot. And what can you say about that? Ain't much you can say. Since Sammy Guevara does have a smidgen more charisma, because where's my stars? Where's my stars? It's far more interesting and entertaining, and I got more juice out of that than anything that with that Garcia kid can do. Plus representation. Sammy Guevara is Hispanic. Daniel Garcia Hispanic. Maybe he'll do better if he had better Hispanic representation. Just saying. In any event, Jericho wanted to make an example out of some bum named Action Andretti. So Jericho goes out there, and for some just Christ on a cross, this match was 15 minutes. Chris Jericho versus Action Andretti. And Andretti won. For starters, I was kind of like, okay, Jericho's giving this guy a lot. When, he has to counter split leg moonsaults and he's taking an acai moonsault outside the ring. I'm like, why is this guy getting so much offense? Like, please end this. And then I look up and Jericho has lost. He got pinned by this dude. I know what they were trying to do. And you could see from the end of the match what they're trying to do. As Jericho is falling off, Jericho is washed. So now he's, angry. His ego is bruised. He's going backstage, throwing a temper tantrum, swearing up and down that he's still the Ocho and all this kind of stuff. But he's lost to this Action Andretti. Then, of course, Tony Khan, because there's no such thing as drama, he basically told the world Action Andretti is all elite. Nobody has any idea who this guy was. I had to go on Twitter to figure out if his name was really what I wrote down. Like, I really wrote down Action Andretti with a question mark and said, Action Andretti? And that's exactly what his name is. So, all I'm going to say is this. I get what they were going for. They were going for 1-2-3 Kid versus Razor Ramon. The difference was 1-2-3 Kid versus Razor Ramon was a shocking surprise match that was not 15 minutes. Where Razor dominated the match and the Kid basically hit one big move, scored a pinfall, and then that was it. That was it. That was the match. Okay. Razor dominated, beat the Kid up. The Kid hit one big move, which was a moonsault, and that was it. In this match, the guy was standing down there 50-50 with Jericho because the match landed 15 minutes. So they didn't even do the 1-2-3 Kid Razor Ramon spot right. They didn't even do it right. If the plan was to tell me that Jericho was falling off and show that he's maybe rusty and maybe he's not the Ocho anymore, okay, I guess you successfully did that. I just looked at it and said, what a waste of a pinfall. There's 100 fucking guys on AEW's roster. Powerhouse Hobbs, Brian Pillman, Ricky Starks, fucking Jungle Boy, fucking, Malachi Black. There's so many guys on that roster that could have benefited from beating Chris Jericho. And they picked Action Andretti, a guy that you absolutely know is not going anywhere. A guy who's absolutely, for a fact, is probably not going to be on this show within the next 3 weeks. Now, because it's all about Jericho. That's the point. Action Andretti won. They showed a little bit of his celebration, but most of the camera work was on Jericho, him selling the loss. And it's okay sometimes to do these big surprises, but you have to pick your spot and you have to pick the right guy. And I'm not sure if this Action Andretti is going to be the right thing to do. I can almost guarantee you in 2 months, nobody's going to remember this. People are going to be like, oh, it was such a great moment. Because that's what, the knob slobbers all do. They talk about how great the moment was. They don't really consider what's next. I'm like, okay, the guy beat Jericho. That was a surprise. I was kind of pissy about it at first. But as usual, you get over things. You think about it a little bit. You're like, do I really care? Not really. I see what they were trying to do. But I'm sitting here to myself like, okay, why this guy? Why him? Of all of the people on your roster, you got the Gun Boys. You got a bunch of guys on this roster who probably could have benefited quite a bit from a pinfall victory over Chris Jericho, and you picked Action Andretti. I mean, why? I've never seen this guy before in my life. At least when it was the 1-2-3 Kid, he was a regular on Raw and a regular on Superstars, and he always did jobs. And that's really what the story was. Is that every time you saw that kid, you knew he was going to lose. He's going to go in there, he's going to get beat up, he's going to lose. So the one time that he won, it was like, wow, I never seen this guy before. So if it was, let's say, Brian Pillman, or what was Brian Pillman's partner? Greg Gregerson? Mark Masterson? What the fuck was his name? Something. Griff Garrison. That was his name. Okay, Griff Garrison. You know, if it was that guy or something like that, okay, it would make just a smidgen more sense, because it would have been a guy that you don't expect much from him, but you've seen him before. This guy, I've never seen this guy before in my life. So, yeah, the crowd did give him a really good reaction. The crowd chanted, "Let's go, Jobber." The crowd was into it. But AEW's crowds are literally gullible. Like, they like everything, you know? So they're not like the most discerning crowd in the world, you know? So this was very weird to me. So Ricky Starks was name dropped by Chris Jericho. And if the plan was to put over Ricky Starks, you probably shouldn't have did a job for Action Andretti, because it diminished Claudio's achievement by having this guy beat Chris Jericho, because it's like, oh, Chris Jericho must not be that tough, considering some unknown nobody's ever seen or heard of beat Chris Jericho clean in the middle of the ring, and after he tapped out to being swung around in a circle. I mean, come on. What a joke. So now Ricky Starks is about to end up tied up in this Jericho vortex. Good job. Ricky Starks is good enough to pull himself out of it. And hopefully they do something. Look, I'm not going to say like you have to rehab Jericho's image. I'm not going to say that, because Jericho is Jericho. He can do 100 jobs and he'll be okay. But you have to, just because he can, doesn't mean that you should. This is one of the things that, you know, Vince got all screwed up with people like Miz and Dolph and, you know, Jericho. Just because a guy can withstand 100 losses doesn't mean you hang 100 losses on him, you know? And thank God Tony Khan doesn't seem to go that far with it. Like, WWE will abuse the privilege of, like, the Miz being a great talker, and you don't have to do much to get Miz back over. WWE will abuse that privilege. They'd beat the Miz every fucking week. He'll get punched in the face 3 times on every Monday. And you'd be like, wow, I find it harder and harder to even care about the Miz. You know? So AEW's not going to go that far. But having Jericho drop 2 matches in a row in humiliating fashion, being tapped out by his fucking swing, and now him losing to a job guy, that doesn't bode well for any feud that he's about to engage in, because it seems like you're purposefully diminishing him. And I know he mentioned that he wants a rematch, but why are you worthy of a rematch now? I don't know. But AEW, they just try to rush things and make things happen. They wanted to have their Scott Hall and 1-2-3 Kid, so they tried to do it. I think it was a swing and a miss. The guy got too much offense. He wasn't known enough as a job guy for this to really stick. But because he wasn't known, it was a big surprise. So you got plus 1 point for the surprise. You got a minus 1 point because it's some fucking guy named Action Andretti, who I'll probably never see again in my life. All right, the Acclaim came out to rap. Then got jumped by Lethal, Dunn, Satnam Singh, and Jeff Jarrett. Well, of course, Jeff Jarrett bashing, I think it was Max Caster in the head with a guitar. All right, sure. I don't care about this. Jericho, it's amazing how little Jarrett matters on this show. I mean, I'm not upset that Jeff Jarrett doesn't mean a lot. Just saying. It wasn't that long ago that everybody was expecting the most out of Jeff Jarrett, but nope. Same could be said for Brian Cage. Brian Cage once again humiliates himself in front of on national TV. He's a big, jacked up meathead who is apparently just all needle, no spine. This guy took a Canadian destroyer, had a visible submission in a snare trap before finally being beaten by Jungle Boy. And I was just kind of like, wow. Could you make Brian Cage look more like a bitch than have? I mean, for starters, I already don't like Brian Cage. He's already in the hole as far as I'm concerned. And he did a job for Tessa Blanchard. I mean, we already know he doesn't have the spine to say, look, I'm 6'5", 6'6", and look at what I look like. Why in the world would I be doing jobs to women? You know, even if it meant that he didn't get booked again, it's common fucking sense. When you would look at him and say he shouldn't be doing jobs to women. But they're trying to build Jungle Boy as some kind of monster killer, right? So he beat Luchasaurus, Big Bad Monster. Then he beat Brian Cage, Big Bad Monster. And now he gets on the microphone and he challenges Big Bill. Who the fuck is Big Bill? That would be W. Morrissey, a.k.a. Big Cass. And I just looked at it, I was like, who? I heard the name Big Bill. I said, who the fuck is that? Are they bringing in more new guys? I don't know who this guy is. So Stokely Hathaway comes out there talking about Jungle Boy need to watch his mouth or he's going to see the bottom of Big Bill's boot and the back of his hand. I was like, oh, that was nice. That was a nice little line. Lee Moriarty then attacked Jungle Boy. Then I figured out who Big Bill was when he attacked Jungle Boy and they yelled, Big Bill, Big Bill. They kept yelling about him. I was like, oh, Big Bill. Jesus H. Christ. Okay. So Jungle Boy gets his ass beat. I'm talking thoroughly beat before Hook makes the same. Great reaction for Hook, by the way. Especially considering he's been on Rampage for like the last several weeks. Well, over months, actually. It's been a long time since he's been on Dynamite. I don't think his music has ever played on Dynamite, has it? Anyway, Hook and Jungle Boy are gonna join forces against the Firm, and you know what? This is not too bad. You know, a nice little tag team between two, teen beat kind of guys. They're trying to go for the teeny bopper girls, but they don't watch this show because they have like MTV and stuff now. So like the teenage girls who are obsessed with like the Rock and Roll Express or the Fantastics or whatever that would have been into wrestling in like 1987 or something like that, they'd be like, and trying to go on dates with you and writing love letters. That I don't think that exists anymore. I don't think so. I think when Hook stood next to Jungle Boy, it was mostly the coalition that was like, oh my God, two very handsome boys, and they're going to be partners. Oh my God. And I was just kind of like, yeah, wasn't this for like the girls? But there are no girls. Like, there's no girls. You do something for the girls. There's no girls. Where's the girls? When you go and you watch Mid-South or something like that, there used to be like a row of old ladies and behind them like a row of girls. Teenage girls. Like, 13 to 17 or whatever, 13 to 18 or whatever. The kind of girls that Jerry Lawler got in trouble messing around with, allegedly. And those girls do not watch fucking AEW. So while people was like, oh, they're going to attract so much vagine, I'm just kind of like, I don't think so. I think the kind of girls kind of women that will be interested in this are going to be no different than their male the male counterparts, kind of hairy in the pits, kind of hairy on the face, kind of heavy in the waist. Not good. But it was nice to see Hook on Dynamite for the first time in a long time, so that was nice. Big Bill, please change that name. It sucks. Lee Moriarty, please get him out of here. He sucks. I heard so much about Lee Moriarty and all. He just ended up being a work rate bum. Unless he has a personality in there somewhere, they need to bring it out. They need to unwrap it. Otherwise, he's no more use to me than a used piece of tissue. He sucks. Blackpool Combat Club, they talked. John Moxley said they made their statement. Each one in their own way made a statement. 2023, is going to be where they put everybody on notice, said Claudio. And then Wheeler Yuta said that you have to fight like you're already dead. And I tilted my head a little bit and said, fight like you're already dead. Am I a vampire? Am I a zombie? In what way could I already be dead and continue to fight? I know that he probably didn't mean it that way. I'm taking things a little too literally. Maybe I'm nitpicking. Maybe. Maybe I just don't like hammerhead ass Wheeler Yuta. Maybe I just don't like the guy and I'm just making fun of him. Well, if I was going to make fun of him, I'd talk about his beard. You know? How he eats his whole face. Maybe I'll talk about that. Maybe I'll talk about his body. How he also is shaped like Woody from Toy Story. Maybe I'll talk about that. Maybe it's not necessary. You know, nobody likes Wheeler Yuta. He has no fans. Just nobody likes that guy. Anyway, Jon Moxley says that he's going to stomp Sammy Guevara into a bloody mess. You know, I'm surprised he didn't say he's going to drink his bone marrow or something like that. Then he says that he wants Hangman Page to find him and for him to bring the Dark Order. Well, that takes us on over to Hangman Page. And Hangman Page is talking about when he got knocked out. He got knocked snoozing. He was snoozing in the ring, man. He was unconscious after that clothesline. I remember that now. And basically he had a concussion. And he had to go through concussion protocols. He had to answer a bunch of questions about his memory. Said that he saw his son, the beautiful green eyes of his young boy, but he couldn't remember his name. And he got all choked up. He was getting choked up before this, but he's getting all choked up. How he couldn't remember his son's name. And I said to myself, you know what? That's actually good. That's good stuff. I wish he wouldn't remember his way to the arena. I'm okay with him, you know. Please learn your son's name all over again. Forget how to drive. You know, forget how to drive to and from the arena. You know, your quality of life can be great. Go play basketball with your baby. Stay away from wrestling, okay? Just stay away from this business, man. Between this shit and the shit going on in NXT, I'm really starting to question what the fuck we're going to be doing in the future. We got, you know, people who got bullied as a child, anxious millennial cowboys, guys who go fishing, and dudes who can see into the future. Fucking Wheeler Yuta. I'm just looking at this shit like, oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Hangman Page, oh god. At least it was memorable, I guess. Well, it's a good reason to fight somebody because, you know, he broke your brain. You couldn't remember your son. So yeah, that's a good reason to beat up Jon Moxley. And he said he's going to be on Rampage, but he's not medically cleared to have a match. Okay, sure. Then why did they do the fight scene? If he's not medically cleared, why did they do the fight scene? Did he become not medically cleared after the fight scene, though? Did, like, the fight scene happen? And then all of a sudden they was like, you know what? You're not medically cleared. What? I don't know. Let's move on. Swerve Strickland claims that he gave Keith Lee everything. His heart, his time, his coupons for free checkers. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't enough. So he says he has no friends in this business. Has no family. He only has affiliates. Okay. So I guess he's about to have a stable called the Affiliates. The Affiliates is that was a former production team, if I remember correctly, from like back in the day. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not going to be like a bunch of other dudes hanging around Swerve calling themselves the Affiliates. Whatever. House of Black defeated the Factory. The least said about this, the better. Julia Hart actually spit in Nick Comoroto's face. I mean, Nick Comoroto, again, another man who is huge, made of absolute muscle. I remember last time I saw Nick Comoroto, the first time I saw him, to be quite honest, on an episode of Dynamite, 2 years ago. I mean, the guy looked like something out of a Conan the Barbarian comic book. And they had made him look like an absolute fucking moron for the last 2 years. And now a 22-pound girl spit in his face and he's rolling around on the ground like he got fireballs or something like that. The Factory fucking sucks, by the way. QT Marshall, chief among them. I mean, QT Marshall, man, Jesus Christ. If there was a big enough spider, I would throw him on the web. Like, legit. It was like, watch him get bundled up and nibbled. I cannot stand QT Marshall. He fucking sucks. Talking about a good for nothing fucking bum. QT Marshall is that guy. There was a Hikaru Shida versus Jamie Hayter vignette. Okay. Next was Britt Baker. She got challenged to a match by Sky Blue, who doesn't think that Britt Baker can wrestle. I'm like, huh? She was the world champion. What the fuck? You barely off dark. I mean, that's pretty ballsy for a babyface, for you to come out here and be like, oh, Britt Baker, you talk a good game, but can you wrestle? Like, bitch, I was the world champion for like almost 2 years or whatever. Where was you at? I know you worked here. Where the hell were you? But Sky Blue is very well liked because she's a very cute girl. She's not like beautiful. She's like girl next door cute, like Cora Jade. You know, could have went to high school with her. You know, kind of, you know, if she was in a movie, and she could probably good enough to be a side character in the movie. Like she's good enough to be like Michael Cera's girlfriend in a movie. You know, that's about it. She's not like Tony or Mandy or anything like that, where she's like a bombshell. She's kind of cute girl, you know. So everybody likes the cute girl next door, Sky Blue. She always loses, but you know, everybody likes for her to give it the good old college try. All right, so let's wrap things up here a little bit. The Briscoes, they made their AEW Dynamite debut as part of a video package in the FTR Gun Club vignette. I really wish they would have gotten on screen rather than do a vignette, but whatever. And the Briscoes are there, so maybe they're not banned. Maybe they're not banned after all, or maybe Tony Khan's going to get chewed out for showing them. Who knows? Ruby Soho defeated Ty Mello in a match I couldn't care less about. And to be quite honest, it went by so fast, I pretty much forgot it happened. So, yay. That was nice. Thank you. After the match, Anna Jay ran down to beat up Ruby Soho because she's not allowed to have peace. Anytime Ruby Soho is trying to succeed, somebody's going to break her head in. Poor Tweety Bird. All right, so that's Dynamite. Not much greats happened. Some big moments. I got to give the crowd credit. The crowd hyped up a lot of stuff. You know, that Andretti spot was really made by the crowd. MJF and Starks, the crowd was really into them too. So I really appreciated it. But we don't need the Elite. And we didn't need that 15-minute Andretti Jericho match. Jungle Boy, I don't know. It's like after he beats all these big guys, what's next? You know, what are we doing? There was no Samoa Joe. There was no Wardlow. Again, no Miro. You know, just whatever. But what did you guys think? Like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.